material mix and yield variance, but now we are looking at the material mix variance and material yield variance. So here we are told 𝗬𝗧 mol is a pharmaceutical company that produces a cough syrup by blending 3 different material compounds, namely D, N, and M. The standard material compounds usage and the cost per unit of a cough syrup are as follows. So you're able to see the compound material D, N, M. That is our standard cost card. You know, they've told us the standard material compounds. So that's our standard cost card. Additional information, number 1, actual units produced to 5,200 units of cough syrup using 2,500 kilograms of D, 1,500 kilograms of N, and 1,000 kilograms of M. 𝗬𝗧 uses activity-based costing to allocate its overheads. One of its main overheads for ABC is machine setup costs. The following information is available for the period ended 31st July 2025. So you can see the activities, budget versus actual. Yeah. Then at the end of the day, we are required to determine the material mix variance. So they want us to give them the material mix variance. I don't think we are doing our colleagues any favor. Remember, in our class, we are over 400 students. We are over 400 students. If you add together with the special education students, we are looking at 500 students doing AME. And I can only see here live, we are 86. So is there somebody who can do us a favor just by going back and telling those respective ninjas that this class is ongoing? Tell them that this class is ongoing and they need to join. Somebody can just make that announcement. And if you've got some close friends, you can text them, the ones who have paid RCM, of course. Text them, SMS them, tell them that, hey, this class has begun. Because some of us take too long before we check what's up. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is quite a simple question. Actually, this question should not be tested at this level. This level, we need serious questions. How can they ask us to compute material mix variance? So then how do we get this material mix variance? So to get this material mix variance, MMV, what are we doing? We know that this will be the difference between 2 mixes. We have what we call the standard mix minus the actual mix, what we also call the actual quantity of materials. And then we monetize outside here by putting here the standard price per kilogram. Standard price per kilogram. So this is material mix variance, difference between 2 mixes. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that this mix variance is applicable to that kind of a product that requires you to mix items. So for example, githeri, you have to mix maize and beans. Then you can easily compute a mixture variance. Concrete, you'll be able to put together ballast, sand, and what here? Cement. Then automatically, ladies and gentlemen, that one you can calculate, in this case here, a mix variance. Just like this cough syrup, you can see there are 3 ingredients that must be mixed. So then the very first thing that you need to come and do, ladies and gentlemen, for us is to come and give us what we call the standard proportions. Give us the standard proportions. So basically, these ones shall be always obtained from the standard quantities or budget quantities. So we have 3 types of materials, DN versus what here? DN versus M. So is there somebody who is able to see the standard quantities? Yes. I can see that for compound D, I need 0.51 kilograms. So here I need 0.51 kilograms. N, I need 0.28 kilograms. And then we have M, where M we have 0.21 kilograms like that. So giving us, in this case here, what here? 1, if you add the 3. So in terms of proportions, this will be 0.51 over 1 over the total, which of course will be the same numbers. Now, my good students, please listen. Whenever we talk of standard mix, if you recall, this is standard mix of the total actual input. Standard mix of the total actual input. Standard mix of the total actual input. Meaning that the next thing that you need to come and tell me is the total actual input. Total actual input. So is there somebody who is able to compute for me how many units of this ingredient were actually mixed up? If you look at additional information 1, they have given us the actual output. The actual output was 5,200 units. But produced out of mixing how many units of this in 2,500 of D? So you give us the total. 2,500 of D plus, in this case, ladies and gentlemen, 1,500 of N plus 1,500 of N plus, ladies and gentlemen, the next one is 1,000. Which somebody has been able to see that the total here will be 5,000. Total will be 5,000, and yet you are saying it is standard mix of. Of means multiply. So you take these proportions, you multiply them by the total actual input. It is standard mix of the total actual input. So of the total, so times 5,000, times 5,000, times 5,000. So is there anybody then who is able to give us what we call our standard mixes? Anybody who is able to give us these standard mixes? So you simply multiply 0.51 times 5,000. So we have in this case here 𝗓𝗏 2550. 𝗓𝗏 2550, and then N. What do we have, ladies and gentlemen? N is 1,400, right? So N is 1,400. Thank you very much. And then we have M. M now, which will be 10 what here? M will be 1050. 1050. Then I can just come and also mention here by the side the actual mix, just for the sake. Actual mix is the same as the actual quantity. These are these quantities that you were able to read for me. The first one for D is 2,500. The second one is 1,500. The third one is 1,000. The third one is 1,000. The third one is 1,000. Now, once I have that, ladies and gentlemen, then I will be able to do what here? I will be able to basically get my material mix variance for each product. So we start with a material mix variance for dog. So we have here material mix variance for dog. I'm following this formula. The standard mix there is 2,550. 2,550 minus the actual mix of dog, 2,500 kilograms. Is there somebody who is able to see the standard price of this per kilogram? Anybody who is able to see the standard price of this per kilogram? 800. 800, which then will end up giving us what answer? It's given in the question, the standard price, you get this from the standard card. Per kilogram, it's written there, 800. So we have Lillian giving me 40K favorable. Thank you so much. It's 40,000 favorable. Thank you so much. Then you go and do the same for material mix variance for N. So N, am I able to see the standard mix? Oh yes, it is 1,500 minus the actual mix of N. No, 1,400 here, the standard 1,400 minus 1,500. Is there somebody who is able to see the standard price per kilogram for N? Anybody who is able to see the standard price per kilogram for N? 600. Thank you so much. 600. Then you shall be able to take, in this case here, your calculator, say open brackets, 1,400 minus 1,500 close, whatever answer we get times 600, what answer are we able to get? 60,000 what here? 60,000, adverse like that. Thank you so much. And then now we have material mix variance for M. So the standard mix for M is 1050, minus, ladies and gentlemen, the actual mix of M is 1,000. And then, of course, in this case here, whatever we shall be able to get, we monetize this by multiplying it with the standard price per kilogram, which is 1,400, I'm being told, for M, I mean. So then at the end of the day, what shall be the mix variance for M? 70,000 favorable. 70,000 favorable. Now come and add the 3 to give me the total mix variance. Add the 3 to give me the total material mix variance. Add the 3. Add the 3. So we have here 40,000 minus 60,000 plus 70,000. Minus because this adverse is negative. So I'm being given a figure of 50,000. 50,000 favorable like that. 50,000 favorable. 50,000 favorable. So is that okay, ladies and gentlemen? Has this thing really sunk in very well? But it's an extension of what we were doing even in our last class. Yeah. So then after that, ladies and gentlemen, we expect you to move with speed and give us what they are calling there the yield variance. How do we get yield variance? How do we get the yield variance? Anytime they tell me to get the yield variance, first of all, I will be forced to remember the material usage variance formula. Francisca, SQ is 5,000, but actual is 5,200. Where has the 200 gone? So meaning in this case here, you know what this student is trying to make an argument. You see the actual output is 5,200, and actually the input is the opposite, it's 5,000. Now, you know that is now the concept of yield. Is the concept of yield. But so long as you've been able just to follow the proper format, you are okay. You're okay. You don't have to ask yourself so many questions. So long as you've been able to follow the right format, you are okay. You are okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, anytime they tell me to give them the yield variance, I will be able to remember pretty fast the usage variance formula. So, are you able to remember the usage variance? Usage variance formula? Anybody who is able to remember the material usage variance formula? Oh, yes. I expect you to. Anybody who is able to remember the usage variance formula? Usage variance formula, material usage variance formula. Thank you so much. In this case here, they have told me, Mwalimu, difference between two quantities, so we have standard quantity minus actual quantity multiplied by standard price like that. So out of this usage variance, I will get what they are calling material yield variance in Roman 2. So how do we get this material yield variance? So material yield variance, I will maintain everything as it is here, except AQ. AQ, I will be able to use what we call standard mix. So then I will take here the standard quantity minus, in this case here, the standard what here? Mix like that. So instead of AQ, you use standard mix like that. Yeah, multiplied by SP like that. So ladies and gentlemen, could you kindly do me a favor by coming here and giving me the usage variance for each one of them? Usage variance for each one of them. Yeah, somebody wants me to adjust the board, but are you able to see this yield variance formula? Are you able to see it? Then if you're able to see it, I don't want, if I adjust the board, means making the fonts a bit smaller. I don't want to make the font smaller. If you're able to see up to here, the better. So I should just leave it like that. Or there are students who are not able to see, If there are students who are not able to see, then now we are forced to make them a little bit smaller. I like my numbers being bigger. How about now, so I don't spoil totally? How about now? Are they able to see the material yield variance? Are they able now to see the material yield variance, or they want me to make them? Now they're able to see, eh? All right. So remember the material yield variance, you take everything the way it is in the usage variance, but now here you bring in the standard mix like that. So then let's get the material yield variance for D. So material yield variance for dog. Let me give you 1 minute. You try calculating this. I'm giving you 1 minute. Yeah, great, very clear. I'm giving you 1 minute. You try calculating for this given the formula I've given you. Abracadabra. August 2025, question number 4B. Straightforward questions, and yet students keep on fearing advanced AMA. Nothing. It's a paper will pass one time. It's a paper that everybody must pass this semester. I told you this semester, even if it means me reading for you, everybody must pass. At RCM, everybody must pass. Next semester, nobody is repeating. We go to the next level. So remember how we normally interpret capital SQ, standard quantity for actual production. So I go to the standard cost card. I ask myself, in this standard cost card, the first table given up there, ladies and gentlemen, I can see 1 unit needs 0.51 kilograms. That's 1 unit. But now I have to translate this to the actual number of units here produced. Is there somebody who is able to see the actual production? Actual production. Anybody who is able to see the actual production? 5,200 given in note number 1. So times 5,200 like that. Minus the standard mix. The standard mix, already we have it somewhere here. It is 25.50. 25.50. It is 25.50. Outside here, times the standard price per kilogram that you guys had given me earlier on. Are you able to remind Mwalim what the standard price? I can even remember. It was 800. I can even remember. It was 800. So is there somebody who is able to give me the material yield? Remember which yield am I talking about? This yield, like this. That yield, like that. 800. Yeah, so they're giving me a figure of 81,600 favorable. I don't know how, Ijaka, you got 102. Most of them are giving me a figure of 81,600 favorable. 81,600 favorable. That's what they're giving me. 81,600 favorable, isn't it? I hope, Ijaka, you've been able to see your mistake there. Then we go to N. So N, what I need is the standard quantity for actual production. So the standard quantity for actual production, what am I able to see there? I can see 0.28, the first table given there. It is standard material compounds usage and the cost per unit. So per unit, I can see clearly there, per unit is 0.28. So we have here 0.28 times 5,200, because it must be reflective over the actual output, minus the standard mix for N. And I can see the standard mix for N is 1,400. Then multiply this with the standard price per kilogram for N, which is 600 per kg. So times 600. So is there somebody who is able to give me this number? So I'm being told a number there, 33,600 favorable. 33,600 favorable, like that. And then you go with that great speed and give me the material yield variance for M. Material yield variance for M. Material yield variance for M. So material yield variance for M, I can see from the standard crude, I need 0.21 kilograms. So 0.21 kilograms of the total actual output minus, ladies and gentlemen, the standard mix for M, which is 1050. 1050 times, in this case here, 1,400 times 1,400 times 1,400. So in this case here, when you multiply this to 1,400, I can see some ninjas giving me a number there. What number are they giving me? 58,800 favorable. 58,800 favorable. So you come and add the 3 to give me the total. Give me the total material yield variance. Is there somebody, you know, this is favorable. All of them are positive now. Take this plus this plus this, give me an answer. So the total material yield variance will be equal to 174,000, 174,000 favorable, 174,000 favorable, 174,000 favorable. Yeah, so there is only one biggest mistake that this examiner did. If I were the one who was testing students here, Roman 3 of this question, I would have brought in the calculation of material usage variance. I would have wanted you guys to calculate material usage variance for us. I would have come here and wanted you, at the end of the day, you must also be able to show us prowess of calculating the material usage variance. So how do we get this material usage variance? So in this case here, give me a note there. Tell me that material usage variance, which is MUV, material usage variance, which is MUV, has two components. Has two components. Number one, we have the material mix variance, and then number two, we have the material yield variance. Meaning that if the examiner tells you to get material usage variance, after you have gotten the two components, you don't have to go and start using the other formula. No. What basically you will do, you add them. So in this case here, my material usage variance will be my material mix variance plus my material yield variance. So in this particular case, is there anybody who is able to remind us the material mix variance? Material mix variance had given you the total of the same. I had given you the total of the same figure. Marion is giving me 50,000 favorable, 50,000 favorable, and then material yield variance. Material yield variance, what do we have there? 174,000 favorable, 174,000 favorable. So if you add the two, you will end up getting what figure? 224,000 favorable, like that. 224,000 favorable. And of course, if you're not able to remember this formula, you can still use the longer approach and you're going to get the same answer. You can still use the longer approach and you're going to get the same answer. For purpose of just revision, let's use the longer approach. 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 So the longer approach is the formula one, the one that you guys are so much used to. We know that our material, so method two. We know that our material usage variance is a quantity variance. So difference between two quantities, standard quantity and actual quantity. All right. So then let's start in this case here with M. Is there somebody who is able to see the standard quantity for actual production? M, I will take 0.51 times 5,200. How about the actual quantity of M that was used? It's given there in note number 1. Actual quantity of material M that was used. Was it 2,500? Was it 2,500? Because they gave us the actual usage or the actual mix, 2,500. Into the standard price per kilogram that you guys gave me a figure of 800. So we have here open brackets, 0.51 times 5,200 minus 2,500, close brackets, times 800, times 800. So then in that case here, we shall end up getting how much? Is it M or D? I don't know. The first one is D. Sorry for that. The first one is D. Sorry for that. It's DNM. Thank you. It's DNM. So I'm being given 121,600 favorable. 121,600 favorable. Thank you so much. 121,600 favorable. And then N, I have 0.28. So 0.28 times 5,200. And then you can see vividly that N, it was 1,500 actually mixed into this. Times, in this case here, we can see the rate is 600. The rate is 600. Which I'm being given an answer of 126,400 adverse. 26,400 adverse. It's negative, adverse. And then M, ladies and gentlemen, what am I able to see for M? So for M, we have 0.21. 0.21 times 5,200 minus the actual usage there, which was 1,000 kilograms of M. Yeah, times 1,400. So what are we able to get at the end of the day? Because the rate there is 1,400 per kilogram. 1,400 per kilogram. So I'm being given a figure of 128. 128, So 128, 800, favorable. Is that okay? Favorable. So then can you kindly go and add, go and add up everything. Go and add up everything. So in this case here, they are telling me it is 224 because this will be positive minus this plus this. So they're getting 224,000 favorable. 224,000 favorable. Is it the same as the other one that we got really? Is it the same? Or it is the same, It is the same. It is the same. So I hope you have been able to learn something there. I hope you've been able to learn something there. I hope they've been able to learn something there. And then now with their permission, I'll be able to go straight away to the last part where they want us to give them the fixed setup cost expenditure variance using activity-based costing. Using activity-based costing. Very good. Very easy. Very easy. Ordinarily, you see this is a fixed overhead cost variance. Ordinarily, so Roman 3 of this question, ordinarily, any fixed overhead expenditure variance is budgeted fixed overheads minus actual fixed overheads. Budgeted fixed overheads minus actual fixed overheads. Ordinarily, that is what we normally do. Yeah, like in this particular case, what I would have done, I can see in note number, is it a note? Where they've given us an activity budget and actual, I can see fixed setup. I can see 476,000, budgeted 476,000 minus actual fixed, which is 550,000. Ordinarily, this is what I would have done. Please give me an answer here. Please give me an answer. Ordinarily, I would have taken budgeted fixed overheads minus actual fixed overheads, which gives me 74,000 adverse, isn't it? But this will be wrong because they have told us to use activity-based costing. That is where now the difference comes in. So if it is an activity-based costing, ladies and gentlemen, this fixed overhead expenditure variance becomes absorbed fixed overheads, absorbed fixed overheads minus actual fixed overheads. If it's ABC, we are absorbing this using cost drivers. So we take absorbed fixed overheads minus actual fixed overheads. Is it adverse or favorable? Sorry. So remember, these are normal variance, right? This is a very normal variance. It's not exceptional. Exceptional is fixed overhead volume, fixed overhead capacity, and the sales. So if it's a normal variance and we got negative, it will be adverse. Did we get it being negative? Yes. So it's adverse. It is adverse. It's not an abnormal variance. It's not an exceptional variance. Yeah. So then, ladies and gentlemen, in this case here, how do we get this absorbed? So remember, this absorbed will be the same as what here? Standard. Standard, fixed overheads minus actual fixed overheads like that. Standard. So for this to make sense, let us first of all, for purpose of absorption, let's compute what we call OAR. OAR. Please write there, OAR stands for overhead absorption rate. Right there. This is overhead absorption rate. Absorption rate. Overhead absorption rate. How do we get it? It's budgeted overheads. Budgeted overheads. Over budgeted units. So in this case, it will be over budgeted setups. Budgeted number of setups. Budgeted number of setups. Allow me to repeat there. You see, what do they want us to calculate? Number 3. They want us to calculate in Roman 3 the fixed setup cost expenditure. So it is setup cost. So on this setup cost, we shall use number of setups. Number of setups as the base, as the cost driver. So are you able to see the budgeted fixed setup cost? Yes, I can see this one is 476,000. 476,000. 476,000. Is there somebody who is able to see the budgeted number of setups? Anybody who is able to see the budgeted number of setups? Anytime they want to get, they want us to get OAR, it's about budgeted. So budgeted, I can see it is 1,700. So then can somebody give me this OAR, overhead absorption rate? Overhead absorption rate. Overhead absorption rate. So I'm being given what here? 280, eh? So 280 per setup. 280 per setup. So the first thing you need to do, you must understand your cost structure. These people have given us setup costs to absorb into our units. So this setup, then look for budgeted setup costs divided by budgeted number of setups to get OAR per setup, which they are giving us as 280. Now, once you do that, let's get ahead and absorb them. Let's get ahead and absorb this. So when I'm absorbing this, ladies and gentlemen, for a small gift, I would want to send you a small gift. For a small gift, I know this one, standard fixed overheads, I'll be able to talk of 280 times something. I'm so sure actual fixed overheads, this will remain, 550 will remain. 550 will remain. So for a small gift, can somebody tell me, I will be multiplying this to 80 with what? What shall I be multiplying this to 80 with? What shall I be multiplying? So who goes home with my, 1830 is correct. You see, I know the students who are saying 5,200. I know you applied here. It's because you know that standard fixed overheads are based on the actual output. But you see, 280 is not per unit. 280 is per setup. So then you multiply this 280 with the actual number of setups. Actual number of setups. So it will be 280 times actual number of setups, which are how many there? Which are 1830. Actual number of setups, they are 1830. You see, when you divided this overhead cost by number of setups, you got to 80 per setup. So the only way out, ladies and gentlemen, is to multiply this to 80 with the actual number of setups, not actual number of units. If this 280 was on a per unit basis, then I would be correct to say 280 times 5,200. It would have been correct to say 280 times 5,200. But you see the 280 there is per who? Is per setup. 280 is per setup. How did I get this 280? To get the 280, we took budgeted, if I could repeat. But first, before I repeat, what answer are we getting here? And remember, these are normal expenditure variance. So if negative, adverse. If negative, adverse. If negative, I'm writing there adverse. If negative, I'm writing there adverse. 37,600 adverse. These are normal. 37,600 adverse. So, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm the one doing this, actually, as I repeat, according to what Shayla is making a request there regarding, if I repeat, when I see this concept of setup, when I see this concept of what here, this concept of setups, this is what I normally do. To get, first of all, we get the setup costs, overhead absorption rate, overhead absorption rate. So we shall be able to take the budgeted setup cost, all over number of setups. Yeah. So the budgeted setup cost is how much there. If you're keen enough, you should be able to see the budgeted setup cost. Budgeted setup cost is 476,000. Is 476,000 all over number of setups, all over number of setups. Number of setups I can see there, they are 1,700. All over number of setups, 1,700. That way I'll be able to get to 80. To 80. That will be able to get to 80. But no, personally, how I normally do this, I hope Shayla have been able to see how I got the 280 times number of setups. Personally, how I normally do this, I normally do it in a very simple way. Whenever it's variance analysis and activity-based costing, I normally do it in a very, very simple way. And this is my approach, which I would always want you to borrow. Always borrow this approach and you will never go wrong. So, you see, we know that our fixed overhead expenditure variance equals budgeted fixed overheads minus actual fixed overheads. The budgeted fixed overheads are 476,000 minus the actual fixed overheads this examiner has given me. The actual fixed overheads, he has given me 500 what here? He has given me 550,000. And now this is my trick. This now is my trick, ladies and gentlemen. This is my trick. So then normally what happens, ladies and gentlemen, what normally happens is this. I'll come and read that, hey, this examiner from the lookup, he wants me to use ABC. So when he wants me to use ABC, it means that I must take this to OAR concept, overhead absorption rate. So then now this is how I normally do this. You see what I'll do, it is ABC and what am I using? I'm using number of setups. So if I'm using number of setups, I will come and divide this budgeted. I divide this by budgeted number of setups. And then that's now ABC. I multiply it with the actual number of setups. This is how I finish this thing. Yeah, because it's budget divided by budget times actual. So then this one here will be 476,000 divided by the budgeted number of setups there, which are 1,700. I divide this by 1,700. And then by the side there, I can see actual number of setups. They are 1,830 minus 550,000. So if I do it that way, then I will be able to get that particular answer very, very easily. I like this approach because at times they can give you variance analysis for ABC, like for 3 items. So when you do it, this will be able to divide very fast, multiply, divide, multiply. You divide by setup, budgeted, multiply by actual, budgeted. So if you do it that way, then you will be able to do what here, you will be able to understand it very, very well. So is there somebody who has been able to pick some great concept here? I don't think it is really that tough. Anybody who has been able to pick some concept there that they can easily use? Anybody who has been able to pick some concept that they can build on? Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think so, yeah. It's not that tough because it is a normal, just variances, but now activity-based setup. So you know what to divide by, what to multiply by. Then automatically you are good to go. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with your permission, I would want us to take on the last concept for today. The last concept for today. So the last concept for today is really interesting, really interesting. Really interesting. And I've seen students cry about it, unfortunately, but really, it is the very easiest. Where you are given figures, and then your examiner wants you to calculate these figures backwards. Yeah, we start with April 2024, question number 5B. April 2024, question number 5, boy. April 2024, question number 5. But again, this should not scare you, because even if you don't get the concept, you know, it's just like 1 or 2 marks will miss. Number 1, number 2 will be okay. Because remember, most students in terms of variance analysis, they return scripts that are empty. So if you're able to do like 2 out of 3 questions, don't kill yourself. You're above average. You're above average. You're above average. So there's somebody who wants a present there. Allah. I thought nobody, but there is somebody who got it 1830. But unfortunately, Marion, it wasn't you who was number 1. So I'll be able to handle that in a few minutes. April 2024. April 2024, question number 5B. April 2024. April 2024, question number 5B. April 2024. Let me know once you guys are able to reach there. Once you get the question, say yes. Thank you so much. So this question was really easy, very easy question. We are told that Fiabora manufacturers adopts absorption costing system in variance analysis and investigations. Yeah. So they're telling us there that the following profit reconciliation statement analysis, the performance of Afiabora's main product, Y, for the month of March 2024. So I can see adverse, I can see favorable. Product Y is made from a single product mix with a standard cost of 130,000, made up as follows. You can see the standard has been given there for us. The monthly budget projects production and sales of 1,500 units. During the month, the actual number of units produced was 2,100 units. The actual direct materials purchased were 37,500 kilograms. The actual selling price per kilogram was 152,000. The budgeted fixed overhead cost was 15 million. While budgeted variable overhead cost was 31,500,000. So they want us to give them the actual direct material cost. So they have given us standard card. They have given us variances. Now they want us to work backwards and get those things. So this will not scare me. It cannot scare me. This will be among my least worries on this earth, because it's about just mastering the formulas. So for example, I know that to get material, so this is number 1. So it is about material variances. So we have material price variance. Material price variance will be standard price minus actual price multiplied by actual quantity that was purchased. All right. So has this examiner given me the material price variance, this ninja? Has he given me the material price? Look at that table. Has he given me the material price variance? Look at the table. Look at the table, material price variance. How much do we have there? For material price variance, how much do we have there? 37,500. When we are substituting them in the formula, now you write the sign. It's adverse, but now we are putting it in a formula. We are putting it in a formula. So it is 37,500,000. Again, when we are returning this to the formula, these figures cannot be in thousands. Remember the figures that we have there in the table there, they are thousands. So whenever we are substituting them back to the formula, they have to go as they were originally. And when they say adverse, it must be captured as a negative, which will be equal to, ladies and gentlemen, we can see they have given us standard price. Is there somebody who is able to see the standard price in this question from the standard card given? Standard price of materials. Yeah, from note number, it's not actually a note, from the standard cost card given, material price 15 kilograms at 5,000 per kilogram. So 5,000, actual price has not been given. But fortunately, these ninjas, they gave us an actual quantity of materials that were purchased. which were 37 what year? 37,500. Are you able to see from note number 2, the actual direct materials purchased were 37,500? Are you able to see from note number 2, 37,500? Yes. So then your work is to make AP the subject of the formula. Your work is to make AP the subject, the actual price per kilogram. The actual price per kilogram. Make it the subject of the formula. So I'm so sure that there will be some students who will be able to open the brackets, multiply individually. But if I'm the one doing this is how I will do it. I will come and treat this as if it's one number. So I divide both sides by 37,500. That's still very good. Both sides by 37,500. So then this and this cancels out. Is there somebody who can give me this divided by this? This is the easiest way. But if you still have the time and you feel that, you need to do this the high school way, no worries. The floor is yours. So arrow Jen gives me minus 1,000, which will be equal to 5,000 now, minus AP. So I want this 5,000 to go to the other side. Here it's positive, on the other side it will be negative. So it will be minus 1,000, minus 5,000 equals minus AP. So this will be minus 6,000 equals minus AP. Therefore, AP, positive 6,000. 4,000? No. You see here 5,000 is positive. When it crosses over, it becomes minus. It becomes minus. So as minus 1,000 minus 5,000 will be minus 6,000. So AP will be 6,000. So remember, this is actual price per kilogram. And therefore, the total actual material cost, I will take something times something. Actual material cost, I will take something times something. So I should take what times what? I know the actual price per kilogram, 6,000. Unfortunately, I know the actual number of materials that were procured. Yeah, they were 37,500. So then I'm able to get this. So in an exam situation, do you think you would have gotten this very well? In an exam situation, do you think you would have nailed this? Ijaka says no, but now moving forward, we shall be able to get it, eh? We shall be able to get it now moving forward. Thank you very much. So Lillian gives me a figure of 225 million, something like that. 225 million. Yeah, moving forward, that is the most important thing. Moving forward, we shall be able to get this correctly. Can we look at number 2? Can we look at number 2? Number 2 is another one. Some students got this right. But number 2, in this case here, this examiner, other students, most of them were crazy. When it came number 2, they thought number 2 was an error. Do you know what most of them were writing in number 2? Actual quantity of materials used. Actual quantity of materials used. So they thought it was an error. So they were telling examiner that the actual quantity from note 2, from note 3 actually, that the actual quantity used was 37,500. And then now they, after writing like this, they called me after exam and telling me, Mwalimu, we shall pass. You shall not pass. Because you see, what you purchase is not exactly what you use. There is a concept of inventories. So basically, in terms of materials that were used, you ought to have used material usage variance. You ought to have used material usage variance. So this one, if you were to write like this is very wrong, because from note number 3, this is the actual quantity that was done what year, that was purchased. This was the actual quantity that was purchased. So then if I'm using material usage variance formula, first of all, I must be at a position of remembering the formula. Unfortunately, you guys are very young. Your minds are very cool. You are able to remember all those formulas that I've been able to teach over a couple of 1 week. So the material usage variance is SQ minus AQ into standard price per kilogram. So is there somebody who is able to see the material usage variance? Material usage variance, what do we have there? Material usage variance, what do we have there? Somebody talk to me. Material usage variance. 4500 wongo, always. Students who never return those zeros back, they got zero. Because you know, it's in terms of shillings thousands. When I'm returning back to an equation, I must write it like this. 4500,000, and because it's negative, don't call it adverse. You don't call it, just give it negative because I'm returning this back to the equation. Equals standard quantity for actual production. Is there somebody who could be having this? Standard quantity for actual production. Anybody who can talk to me regarding this capital SQ, the pregnant SQ, standard quantity for actual production. Standard quantity for actual production. Let me see, Lilian is giving me 31,500. Standard quantity for actual, I think she's right. Standard quantity for actual production. Standard quantity for actual production. You see, they have given me, ladies and gentlemen, they have given me the direct materials that I need per standard unit, 15. And then remember, this is standard quantity for the actual number of units that were produced. So it will be 15 times 2100. Because you can see in note number 2 during the month, the actual number of units produced were 2100. So can somebody please multiply this and this so we get to see whether there's anybody who got it right? Standard quantity for actual production. Is there somebody who is able to confirm that 31? So those students are really following. Thank you so much. Minus the actual quantity used. We don't know this. Don't use actual quantity that was purchased. This is actual quantity used, remember, in the formula. Into the standard price per kilogram. Standard price per kilogram, ladies and gentlemen, the standard price per kilogram is already provided there in the standard cost code. We can see that each kilogram is going for 5,000. Each kilogram is going for 5,000. And then now your work will be to make the AQ used, the subject of the formula. Divide both sides by 5,000. Divide both sides by 5,000. So this and this will disappear. This divided by this gives me what figure? Minus 900. Is it minus 900? Equals, this ninjas gave me this as 31,500 minus actual quantity that was used. Yeah, so then you take this to the other side. So it will be minus 900 minus 31,500 equals minus AQ used. Yeah, so this minus this gives me 32,400 minus 32,400 equals minus AQ used. So the minus and minus cancels out. Therefore, the AQ used will be 32,400. And I stop my class there and ask you to finish the entire question. We see how far you'll be able to go with it. Yeah, it's just 1 short hour, but I know I've done it justice. See you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Thank you. Please ensure that you finish everything. Those others are very, very easy. Finish them up. Thank you so much.